Greetings, people of the interwebs. Jake here with another video on Rings of Power, but this time it's not a review. However, if you do want to hear my thoughts on Rings of Power Season 2, I've got a lengthy video giving my thoughts on episodes 1 through 3, and then just yesterday recorded my review of episode 4 of Season 2. But this video, as I'm sure you can tell by the title, whatever I end up titling it, is about the fact that apparently with Season 2, Rings of Power has lost 50% of its audience, which is crazy. And I think it was one of my videos where I was talking about the trailer for Season 2, and how with Season 1, only 37% of people who started the series actually bothered to finish it. And so I was curious if that many people just didn't bother with the show because they were bored, they checked out, whatever reason they decided to not finish it. I was curious to see if Season 2 would do better, because I will say the trailers for Season 2 I thought were better than the Season 1 trailers. Definitely a lot more action-oriented, and understandably, I think that was intentional to try to draw people back in and catch people's interest, so smart move on their part. But clearly that didn't work, and also the fact that so far, in my opinion, we're halfway through Season 2, it's worse than Season 1. However, so even though I'm not surprised that they've audience or viewership has dropped 50%, because I honestly didn't expect it to drop that much, is even as bad as this show is. However, what I'm curious, a couple of things. One of which is I'm curious to see what Amazon, any representatives from Amazon or the showrunners or any of the writers for Rings of Power Season 2, I'm curious to see what they say about this audience drop, because I know with the first season, they were blamed a lot on the fans, because, I guess we're all just a bunch of terrible people who don't like, diversity and stuff like that. And to be fair, there was definitely thankfully a small minority of people who were, throwing fits about stupid stuff like that. But most people just didn't like the show because it's bad. Just plain and simple. It wasn't to do with, the diversity or representation, anything like that. It was a poorly written, poorly paced show, and that trend continues in Season 2, which is why Season 2 is also bad. But I'm curious to see, one, what their response will be, how they're going to try to basically, fudge the numbers, or what their excuses will be, because it's one thing to say, it's review bombing, but there's only so much review bombing that can really deter, a movie or a show or whatever it may be from, having higher audience, viewership or, scores on Rotten Tomatoes and other aggregates like that. The other thing that I'm curious about is, because again, it was one thing for Season 1 to be basically the huge disappointment that it was, because this is the most expensive show Amazon, or any TV series ever, and Amazon were hyping it up, and understandably that's a good series to hype up, because it's Tolkien. They bought the fan base, or tried to, I should say, and so it made sense that they would invest a lot of money into the production value. And one of the few things that this show does have going for it is overall the production value is quite good, with some of the set designs, the scenery, landscape shots and stuff like that are all pretty solid for the most part, with some exceptions, but overall visuals are pretty good. It was one thing for Season 1 to again have a very lukewarm, at best, response from fans and critics and stuff like that. But then for Season 2 to get even less of a response, and also the fact that Season 1 just didn't really hit the cultural zeitgeist like they were expecting it to, and what House of the Dragon did, because House of the Dragon, there's a lot of kind of apprehension and skepticism about that series, just because the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones kind of left a bad taste in so many people's mouths, myself included. I was hopeful and optimistic about the series, but I didn't try to go in with any expectations, good or bad, high, low. I just wanted to watch the show and hope for the best, and I was pleasantly surprised that show was incredible. And same thing with Rings of Power. I was really hoping for the best, completely let down, even going in with, trying to have no expectations. The show was still a complete letdown. And I wonder, though, because Amazon, apparently, they're contractually obligated to do 5 seasons. That was part of the deal with the Tolkien estate to get the rights. And if this series was, if they hadn't invested so much money into it, and probably if it wasn't like, Middle Earth, like if this was just like a, sitcom or even a less expensive, like, fantasy or sci-fi series or something like that, the viewership numbers probably would be good enough to kind of warrant, like, keeping the show going. But with how few people are tuning in for season 2 so far, and again, just the bad criticism and lackluster response from critics and audiences alike, it makes me wonder what Amazon's going to do next. Because I was under the impression that, since they had 2 years in between season 1 and season 2, that they would take the constructive criticism and be like, okay, so here's what people didn't like, here's what didn't work, here's the things that people did like, here's what did work, let's improve the things that we can and keep the things that worked, and, still play around with that to make it even better, as one usually should once you get constructive criticism. But apparently they, and I think I mentioned this in the reviews that I've done recently, is they either completely ignored the constructive criticism, or they just didn't care and seemed to double down anyways. Either way, it's not a good plan. And so, I don't know, I'm kind of, because Amazon, as much money as they have, they're still a business. And with any business, regardless of what it is, your goal is to make money. So if Rings of Power is losing them money, and I'm no lawyer, I don't know like what the stipulations are with their deal that they reached with the Tolkien estate, so I don't think they can just outright cancel the show without maybe paying just a crap ton of money to the Tolkien estate, which they already did just to get the rights. Because again, to get the rights and then to the production value of season 1 in of itself was $1 billion, which is insane. And again, so I don't know all the details of that deal, but I can't imagine that Amazon can just outright cancel the series. And also, even with season 1, even if 5 people had watched that show, I think they were still going to do season 2 anyways, because they had already invested so much money in season 2. Or sorry, season 1. Season 2 looks like they didn't invest quite as much money. Overall, still pretty solid visuals for the most part. I can definitely tell a lot more obvious green screen from what I can tell in the 4 episodes that we've seen. But overall, still pretty decent, production value. But I do feel like it's maybe a little less so compared to the first season. But still, I imagine it cost a good chunk of change for season 2. And so, I don't know what Amazon's gonna do, or if they're gonna do anything. But at the same time, I feel like you're being very foolish to just completely act blissfully ignorant and, just keep assuming that, oh, all this negativity we're getting towards Rings of Power, no, I think they're actually praising us. They love our what we're giving them. They love our product. They want more. So let's just keep giving them more. We're not going to change anything. So, yeah, let's not only double down, let's quadruple down. So, I don't know. I'm very curious to see how the season ends, again, with, viewership, and then what Amazon's response is going to be, because, I don't know. I would think as a business, they should be panicking right now and being like, oh, God, how are we going to fix this mess? Because if it were me, I would have completely reshuffled the creative team from season 1 and been like, okay, look, you guys tried, but we're going to shift you to the side, and we're going to bring in more experienced writers, more experienced showrunners, and basically just, again, people who know more about what they're doing, people more familiar with the source material, people who actually care about the source material and will pay respect to it, unlike the team that we have for Rings of Power, who do not care, seemingly, and if they do care, it's clearly not coming off on screen. But I don't know. I guess I just want to kind of give my thoughts on like the insanity of Rings of Power season 2 dropping in its audience so drastically, and because again, season 1 already had a significant drop, and season 2 not off to a good start, and they just seem to keep losing viewers and left and right. So I don't know. Give me your thoughts below. What do you think about this? Are you well? I imagine no one's really surprised about this, but if you are surprised, let me know. Let me know why you're surprised in the comment section. And give me your overall thoughts. Do usual YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, share, and stuff. So, until next time, everyone. Cheers.